Dr. Ryan here. We're going to talk about some wrist mobility drills and exercises that you can do for a warm-up if you struggle with wrist pain or just feeling that you're challenged whenever you have to put your hands on the ground to do either a plank or a push-up variation, or really just any time when your wrist and hand has to be in contact with the ground. So for starters, we're just going to self-assess. We want to know kind of just where we stand when it comes to putting pressure through our hands. So I'm going to have you start in a knee-hand position on all fours. And I just want your fingers to be able to spread out, and I want you to shift your weight forward as far as you can to just take a look at where your shoulder goes in relation to your wrist, knuckles, or fingertips. Ideally, you should be able to get the tip of your shoulder past your fingertips. That would show that you have an adequate amount of wrist extension or mobility to tolerate anything from a plank, push-up, or even like a crawling position. So we're going to do a little warm-up. If you lack some of that mobility or you feel pain, just be aware of where that is. Some people will describe that as pressure or compression along the wrist crease, and some people will just have tightness or pulling on the back of their, or the front side of their forearm. It's common to have it in both places, but just take note of that, because when we retest it after the warm-up, you may notice that things feel different. All right, for starters, we want to start to warm up our wrist joint through some active range of motion, and we're going to start with circles. And what I want you to do is just draw really big circles with your pinky, right? We're trying to think about kind of as large of a circle as we can do. And we're going to go both ways, and we're going to make sure that our forearms turn up and turn down. Right? So we want the kind of full motion through wrist and forearms here. We're just going to do about 5 each way. Great. Next, we're just going to want to isolate that motion at our wrist. So we're going to keep our forearm pretty neutral, and then we're just going to start to continue those circles. So we'll just draw big circles without our wrists starting to turn up or down. And notice that the range of motion is probably a little bit more limited, but let's continue with that up and down circles about 5 times each way. And after you've done that, let's just open and close the fist, right? Small little muscles of our fingers and our hands are going to play a role on our wrist mobility, so it's good that we warm them up as well. Okay, so now that we've done a little bit of mobility, let's start to put some weight through our hands. And we're going to start with our fingertips forward. And all we're going to do is just shift some weight into our hands and come back. If you feel that there's pressure or something stopping you at a certain point, just go right to that end range and come right back. No need to hang there or wait or stretch. We just want to weight shift. So we'll go forward and backwards about 5 times, and then we're going to start to go side to side, keeping the fingertips forward. After we've done a series of forward, back, side to side, we're going to just change our hand position. We're going to do thumbs forward, and we're going to go back to our forward and backward weight shifts. Now, I'm not putting a ton of weight through my hands. I'm not looking to turn this exercise into a plank or a version of a core stability exercise just yet. I'm just simply trying to get motion through my wrist and my hand. So I'll do side to side with the fingertips out to the side. And then we can change and put our fingertips back. So if you notice before that the forearms felt really tight, this is usually a position where you're going to start to work into that tissue. And just aim to lengthen that. Again, weight shift back and forth. Okay, so just shake that out a little bit. We're going to start to put some pressure on the back sides of our hands. Now, some people are going to really struggle with getting any weight over their hands. So you may find that you're just going to sit back a little bit more, and that's totally fine. We're just going to keep the fingers spread again. They should be relaxed. I don't need to tense them up. And I'm just going to start to put weight forward and backwards again. And then also continuing with weight shifts side to side. After that, we're going to start to play around with a little bit of a closed grip. So we're just going to close our hands in like a fist, put our fist down onto the ground, but then relax the fingers so I'm not tense through my hands, and then continue with weight shifting forward and backwards through that first series of knuckles. Also do some side to side. You may get a nice cavitation or a crack in your knuckle like I did. And then we're just going to move to the next knuckle. So these knuckles are facing forward towards you. I'm just going to rotate the next ones towards you. Relax the hand down so the palm is into the floor. And I'm going to roll forward and backwards again. Weight shifting. And side to side. Great, and then we just kind of open up the hands a little bit more. So now we're kind of on that last knuckle there. Thumbs stay relaxed, hands are relaxed, and we're just going to shift forward again. And side to side. Cool. Shake them out a little bit. This is usually a good time to just reassess, check in with yourself and see if that feels kind of any easier or better to shift your weight out over your fingertips. If you're still limited, there's still some things that we can do. We're going to continue with the warm-up. But if that was enough for you, that may be all you have to do. From here, I'm going to spread the fingers, and I'm going to shift my weight back, and I'm going to purposely lift the palm, kind of the closest side to my wrist of my palm. I'm going to lift that up and then just push that down. So this is like a palm push-up. I'm putting extra weight in through this first part of the fingers. If you want to start to put a little bit more weight over there, that's fine. Or alternatively, you could stay with your weight forward and then just continue with that palm push-up. Makes it a little bit harder. And then I also like to go kind of onto the fingertips, just so that we can get the grip strength maybe a little bit more stable. Putting some weight through the fingertips here. You can think about a circle. kind of getting a little bit of side to side and forward and back. Because although we are building up some mobility, it's also really important that we have stability in our hands for these positions that we find ourselves in exercise. So reassess yourself. If you feel like you are definitely moving a lot further, then this is probably all you need to do. However, if you're still noticing some tightness, especially on the crease of the joint, of your wrist joint, what we can do is a mobilization. So we have about 8 small little carpal bones in here. Some are only the size of like a pebble or a stone. And if we can mobilize them or get them to glide against each other, we could usually get more wrist extension out of this, making your plank or your push-up position a lot easier. So you're just going to take the web space of your other hand and you're going to put that in the crease. I'm just going to shift my weight back or get my knees away, and then as I shift forward, I'm going to push down with that other hand in towards the earth. So I can kind of do a pressure on, pressure off like this. And most people find that just having that extra pressure there usually either alleviates the pain or does a bit of, improves their mobility and alleviates their pain. So I'm using this as a kind of more dynamic weight shift. I could also pause here and then push down through my left hand into the earth, almost like I'm giving my wrist CPR. Each version, whichever you choose, whether it's more of the dynamic movement with pressure or a sustained hold with pressure, should only take about 1 to 2 minutes. And then again, just come back to feeling that motion of shoulder tips over your fingers. I hope that helped. I hope you're feeling a little bit more mobile in your wrists and are better able to set yourself up for better plank positions, better rooted positions into the ground where you need to get your shoulder over the palm of your hand.